rename Dale Brown Court. A statement I received from Governor John Bel Edwards indicates that's the plan. What are we talking about here? To discuss it, I bring in Jim Inkster, who is the president of Louisiana Network, and also Trent Andrews, who is the head of Acadian House Publishing, and so much more. Let me just first ask you, the court was named in an official ceremony in the Kentucky game last year. Why a renaming, Jim?
Well, this goes back to the old axiom that the passions are so high in academia because the stakes are so low, and on the surface it's a trivial matter, but for Coach Brown and for those who have followed him, it's a big matter. He has not been honored in 26 years after being the greatest basketball coach and perhaps the most revered coach all time at LSU.
The godfather of LSU basketball.
No doubt about it. When he arrived, there was one black player in the history of the school. 5 years later, an all-black starting lineup. He went to 2 Final Fours, won 4 SEC titles in the conference during the regular season. And
so many records to mention also. Second winningest coach in SEC history after Adolph Rupp.
That is right, and he beat Kentucky 18 times.
Right.
Sue Gunter was a great lady and a good coach, but in 22 years never won an SEC regular season title and never coached in a Final Four. And she has already been honored with a bust at the Assembly Center, and some are asking why, and some have surmised that maybe this is an effort to give LSU the look of being progressive in a time in which it's about to go to court, being charged with harassment and mistreatment of women who worked at the university and were students there.
And by the way, you both have already written articles about this. You have an upcoming book that will come out against Dale Brown, about his legacy. So your thoughts on this?
The movement that is afoot to change the name of Dale Brown Court to maybe Brown Gunter Court is motivated, as far as I can tell as a reporter and as a writer, by President Tate's program for inclusion, diversity, and civil rights. He figures, as does his followers, that by having the woman's name too, it would balance it. However, what he's not realizing, and this is huge, is that Dale Brown is one of the foremost civil rights leaders in the history of Louisiana. The Board of Supervisors was explicit, clear, and loud. They voted no to add Sue Gunter's name to the court.
Coach Brown, in short, completely changed the complexion of LSU basketball and what it was thought of, and what it became. It became a household name. It became a year in and year out contender for the NCAA tournament and potential national title. That had never happened before. It's never happened since either.
And the question is, why has it taken 26 years to honor him?
Right.
And when he finally does get honored, 12 board members who voted to name it the Dale Brown Court, most of them will have to switch their votes and will look rather foolish by doing so in order to name it the Gunter Brown Court or the Brown Gunter Court.
Have you ever seen a court that was named unnamed unless something horrific happened with that person whose name was on the court?
No, this is not a matter of scandal. It's a matter of convenience. And Dale Brown was basically asked to come to a restaurant here in Baton Rouge on his 87th birthday to meet with President Tate. And President Tate informed him that he had basically changed his mind, that he thought Sue Gunter's name should be on the court with his. And Coach Brown, of course, didn't react well. And now we're headed for a February 10th meeting unless something changes,
of the Board of Supervisors,
in which this will come up for a vote.
Next week. So let's talk about what else is going on behind this. Where's the governor? Why has he fit into this?
One of his mentors, if you will, was a great man, Buddy Leach, a former congressman who's the father of Mary Warner. So he has great reverence for the Leach family, and they have been extremely benevolent toward LSU through the years, and they have been honored, as they should be.
And help with their money for the governor to be elected.
And Mary Warner is a worthy adversary because she has, through her tenacity and resilience, she has gotten this before the board again, and unless something changes, she may win this battle, but this is at the expense of Dale Brown, and he's the last person who should be a sacrificial lamb.
And he will not play part in any of this, by the way. There have been monies even proposed to pay for this, and even that has been said it's not quite enough. I have a brief story to tell you also about our family. My father, Al Morrow, who equaled the world record several times and was the top hurdler in the world in the 1930s, later arguably the best track coach in college during his tenure at LSU, where he won 8 SEC championships in 15 years. Several years back, LSU's athletic director brought our family together for a meeting saying we would love for Bernie Moore Stadium to be named Al Morrow Track at Bernie Moore Stadium. This was a big orchestrated meeting, and he concluded the sentence for a price of $2.5 million. Our family looked at him, said, "Thank you very much." We walked out. That was the end of that matter. So money is often a precedent in this, but in this case, money is not part of this, it seems.
Well, and because Dale Brown brought winning basketball to LSU, no money changed hands, and it shouldn't have. Skip Bertman brought winning baseball to LSU, and we have Skip Bertman Field.
Right.
No money changed hands.
On merit-based,
On merit.
it's appropriate, as it would be with my father.
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
some final thoughts on this as we are a week away from the board meeting and possibly doing something.
Well, Dale Brown ruffled some feathers, and there's no doubt that people have been gunning for him for years, and this is an opportunity to get some retribution for those who don't like him. But most people love him and revere him, and for good reason. He had 160 players, 114 have graduated, and many of them from some of the most impoverished areas of this country. Many from across the world came to play for Dale Brown, and he led the basketball program to heights it's never seen before or since.
Right.
He had 255 sellouts in his 25 years. Sue Gunter had 1 in her 22 years. So there is no comparison as far as their coaching abilities. And you and I were at LSU in the late 70s and early 80s. We saw it in the heyday, and there was nothing like it. The fans were so plentiful that they had an overflow at the Gym Armory to
All
keep
the
them.
time.
John Bell Edwards is a good man, and I think he's been a solid governor. He went to West Point. Mary Warner did not go to LSU. They were not here when you and I were here. They don't have the appreciation, in my view, of others who were there and saw it and felt it and know what a contribution, not only from a wins and losses perspective Dale Brown had, but also from a social perspective.
We will see. Thank you so much for talking about this.